guys? Welcome back to the Lockdown Defense Sports Network. I am your host for today's episode, Young RG Robert Garcia, as Coach likes to call me. And in today's episode, we are going to be getting into the schedule release for the Los Angeles Chargers. Of course, the schedule release has came and went for all 32 teams. So we now know every single game. I believe it's 256 of them, if I'm not mistaken. All 256. I could totally be wrong on that. But however many games there are going to be this year, we know every single one of them. So very exciting. Obviously, every team did their, patented yearly schedule release video. Once again, in my humble opinion, the Chargers nailed it, as they always do. Just with the Easter eggs and kind of the little jabs and shots they take at the other teams, even the teams that we're not even playing this year. The whole league kind of gets it from our social media team. So it's always fun to see. I always enjoy looking at some of the other ones as well. This is kind of now when we enter NFL off-season dry land. After the draft and then after the schedule release, kind of in that the off season where there's nothing really happening from like mid-May till about July-ish, pretty much all the way through. So all of June, all of July, and then kind of like this end of May, we kind of have, the barren areas where there's not much to talk about, but we will still be producing weekly content, daily content, I should say, for you guys on this channel. And we're going to get right into this one. So here is our schedule for 2025. Obviously, one of the biggest ones that was rumored from the start was our opening matchup versus the Chiefs. This one's going to be in Brazil. It is one of our 5 primetime games that we have this year. I believe we are tied for second most in the league with a couple of other teams. And then the Chiefs, of course, lead the league with 7 of them, which is just insane to think about. You only play 17 games, so to have 7 of them be primetime is pretty wild. But, I digress. So one of them is going to be week 1, of course, against the Chiefs week 1. I can't remember when it was. I think it was like in the 80s or last time we had this. But our first 3 weeks of the season are every single one of our divisional opponents. So I thought that was kind of interesting. And I thought it's also going to kind of tell very early on, who's who in this division. I think a lot of people were kind of speculating, obviously, last season with 3 of the AFC West teams making the playoffs, and then the Raiders there. But even then, the Raiders got significantly better this offseason. Obviously, hate to admit that as a Charger fan, but they upgraded significantly at running back, drastically at quarterback, and then, of course, at head coach as well. Obviously, that O-line still gives me some worries. That defense had flashes last year, just needs to stay healthy. But yeah, I think the Raiders are definitely going to be not just some knockover like they were in years past. I definitely think this division is going to be a bloodbath. So to face all 3 of the division opponents in the first 3 weeks, and 2 of them are on primetime, and I would argue 2 of them are technically both on the road as well, the Chiefs and the Raiders. Even though the Chiefs game counts as the home game, which really sucks. But it is what it is. Chargers could have used a AFC home protective game on that or something like that when the schedule was made. They chose not to. They chose a couple of other teams. I'll get to one of the other teams of who I think they protected, but we'll get to that later. So yeah, Chiefs, Raiders, Broncos to bang us out the first 3 weeks of the season. And then the next 3, we go at Giants, come back home versus the Commanders, and then back out to the Dolphins. And thank God we played the Dolphins. Well, actually, I guess it doesn't really matter with the Dolphins when we play them. It's just a matter of when they play the other teams for cold weather. But we got the Dolphins early in the year, so we will be getting probably the best version of them. So we'll see what happens there. Obviously, Giants, Commanders, we play the NFC. That was one of the things I wanted to mention as well. We do play the NFC East this year. And I do believe we play the AFC South as well. Those are the 2 divisions we play. Yeah, looking at the teams, yeah. So AFC South and NFC East are the 2 divisions we play this year. So yeah, have those games. And then going into our next 3, I think I mentioned, Giants Commanders. Giants should be an easy game. I know the Giants got better this year. Their defense is hellacious. I don't think it's going to be easy in the terms of actually getting the win. I think it'll be easy in the sense of when it's all said and done, we should take that win just because we have the quarterback. But that defense is a force to be reckoned with. That defense is going to be a reason they surprised a lot of people this year. So definitely aren't going to take the Giants too lightly. Really not going to be taking anybody on the schedule too lightly except a couple of teams. But we'll get to those. And actually going into the next three, this is probably going to be the easiest 5-week stretch of this entire schedule. We have a pretty brutal opening, obviously with the three, division opponents and the Commanders within the first 5 weeks. And then we have a pretty brutal closing schedule. We'll get to that, obviously. But this is the part of the schedule where you need to rack up wins. You got the Colts at home, then you got the Vikings at home, back-to-back home games. That Vikings game is Thursday Night Football. That is going to be our third primetime game this year. Then we go at Ravens in week 9, at Titans week 9. That should definitely be a win. They are the number one. They were obviously the number one pick team in the draft this year. They do have Cam Ward, but there's just so many more things that are wrong with the Titans that should definitely be an easy win. Steelers on Sunday night back home. Again, I think this is another one we should win. Not trying to get into the spoiler too much of my predictions here, but just early synopsis of some of these teams. You just kind of look at their QB. That's back-to-back teams. Essentially, you're looking at the QB situation, and you're kind of comparing that to Herbert, and you're like, well, we got the better QB. So unfortunately, and this is wrong of me to think, but I truly think that, barring you having a Hall of Fame tier defense, we're in the era right now where, of course, the NFL is made for offense and for passing in specifics, or specifically. So if you just don't have that quarterback, you're not going to be able to compete with a team that does. And more often than not, the team with the better quarterback will win. That's just kind of how things go in the NFL. And then wrapping it up, that little 5-week stretch at Jacksonville against Trevor Lawrence and Travis Hunter. So we will definitely see how that goes. I personally still think the Jags are going to be a great team this year, kind of similar to the Titans. There's just a lot that was wrong there. But if they are going to be anything this year, it is going to have to come from Trevor Lawrence, and to see how far he can lead that team. We've obviously seen him have some success in the NFL already, but now it's just a matter of, can he recapture it? Getting into our week 12 bye. Love this bye week, by the way, especially after having a week 5 bye last year, which really sucked. Although it did kind of work out in our favor with the Herbert injury and some other things like that. But I digress. Later bye weeks are always better. And kind of a little added bonus, coming out of this bye week, we face the Raiders in week 13 at home, November 30th. So I thought that was kind of kind of a cool thing we get out of the bye, to face the Raiders. And then after that, we're got the Chiefs. The Chiefs, man, I'm way off. I guess it wasn't way off, but we got the Eagles on Monday night. That is our last primetime game of the season. I am going to be trying to go to that game. I have plans to go. Obviously, I am in the LA area. And 2 of my childhood friends are both Eagles fans, so we've always been saying, pretty much since the last time they played the Chargers here in SoFi, that we needed to go to this game. I think it's been like 8 years we've been waiting for this game, so definitely going to try to go to this. Really sucks it's on primetime on Monday night, because just the cost of the tickets are going to skyrocket. Would have been kind of pricey anyways because it is defending Super Bowl champs, but definitely want to go see that game. So very excited about that game there. And then after that, we go to Kansas City, to Arrowhead. And then this is back-to-back road games. This is the only time actually all season long we have back-to-back road games. So we go at Chiefs and at Cowboys to finish off our NFC East trip there. And then we come back home to play the Texans. And then obviously these last 2 weeks, the games are always to be determined because basing on how the season goes, they try to slot, the good matchups into the primetime slots. So we got Texans at home week 17, and then week 18, we are at Denver. Kind of an interesting thing too. I don't think the Chargers have ever finished the season at home in like the last 6 years or something like that. It might be even 8 years. But yeah, kind of interesting that we never finished the season at home. We don't even get to start this season at home. It's basically back-to-back road games. So yeah, kind of interesting. Chargers are also going to be flying the most out of any team this year. We travel the most miles. Obviously, a lot of those do come from our week 1 game in Brazil. So there is that. However, another positive to look at this Chargers record, and maybe you might not have noticed it, or be kind of tough to notice it at first glance, but the Chargers do not face a single team this year that are coming off of their bye. So, you look at all these games, all these teams, especially the division opponents, we do not play a single team coming off their bye. So that is extremely to our advantage. We should definitely be able to see that pay a little bit of dividends as the year goes on. But I thought that was a really interesting fact there that, we don't have anybody that's going to be coming off, or we don't have anybody that's facing us that will be coming off of extra rest. So pretty interesting there. And now the question everybody's been asking, how many wins do I predict for this Chargers team? It's a little bit of a kind of a anticlimactic choice here, but I truly believe that just because the schedule got tougher, the opponents got tougher, that this record will be a win, even though it was the exact same record as last year, and that's going to be 11-6. I do truly see the Chargers probably finishing around this exact same range, this 10 to 12 wins range, considering that it is a much tougher schedule than the one we had last year. There are still some pretty favorable matchups in that schedule for us, I feel like, and we're going to be releasing videos later on, kind of specifying which games we see as wins and why, and which games we see as losses and why. So yeah, I truly think that although it's going to be the same record we finished with last year, it's you're more than double games. Well, I guess not technically, but you're just right at that range of double games over 500. I just think that although, like I said, the division is one of the biggest reasons for this. Obviously, we swept the Raiders and the Broncos last year, so that's 4 wins right there. I think if you give those, because spoiler alert, 3 of these losses are to one of each of my division opponents, one of the Chiefs, Raiders, and Broncos. So obviously, if you take the 2 Raiders and Broncos ones, this is 13-3, 13-4. My math was terrible there. 13-4, so that looks a lot better than 11-6. But it's just a mix of everything. The division got getting better. The league as a whole really did get better. I mean, we talked about this draft class and just how stacked full of talent it was. So teams were just bound to get better. But I still truly think that this team is going to once again exceed expectations. I had them pretty much around the same prediction last year. I think I predicted if everything went right, it was going to be like a 12-5, 13-4 season. A lot did go right, and we therefore finished 11-6. But yeah, I truly think that this will be a good season for us. I know a lot of people are expecting us to take a huge leap forward, and maybe that gives us a better record than we did last year. But you also have to realize last year we did have a last place record, so a lot of teams we were facing were not great. They were in last place for a reason. So you aren't going to have the liberty of being able to face some of those teams again. But yeah, I do think that the Chargers are still going to have a good season. 11-6, 12-5, that may be good enough to win the division just based on how ferocious this division really is. This is basically going to come down to the Chiefs once again, as it always does. With the Chiefs, there has to be we have to get rid of like this aura that they possess of where they kind of just own the division. And I feel like it needs to really happen early on. Like I do truly feel that the Chargers in week 1 need to set the tone against the Chiefs. This will make it the second year in a row, potentially, if they do win, that they lose their home opener. But even then, you saw last year that losing that home opener didn't matter really at all. Or sorry, 2 seasons ago, I think it was. So yeah, I don't know. I just feel like the Chargers, if the division is as tough as it's supposed to be, it's going to be a bloodbath. I think we are built to withstand it. You have the running game, you have the defense, you have the quarterback, you have the head coach. So you just have all the pieces in place, and it's just going to be a matter of, who comes out on top. You have 4 potential Hall of Fame, caliber head coaches there in the division. three of them are Super Bowl winners, of course. So there's just a lot of talent, a lot of high ferocity, intensive training going around. So I'm very excited to see how this division turns out. But with that all being said, yeah, I got the Chargers at 11-6. So that's going to do it for me, guys. Thank you so much for watching and tuning in. Once again, if you want to take a look at any of our socials, here they are for Coach Mike Dubb, the real AG, Alex Gibbons, and myself, Young RG, Robert Garcia. And as always, don't forget to check out all of our socials on Twitter, formerly known as X, Instagram, TikTok, Twitch, YouTube, and of course our Gmail down below. Go down in the comments below and let me know what you think of my record prediction. What is your record prediction for the Chargers? Let me know which games you think are locks to win, which games are locks to lose. Let me know all of that in the comments below. We will be doing a new video in the coming weeks with our in-depth analysis for each game and our early on predictions, our 1.0 predictions, if you may. So once again, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you have a wonderful day wherever you are, night, day, afternoon. And until next time, we will see you in the next one. Take care, everybody.